Welcome back to Race Report, everyone. We have now reached the midpoint, or around the midpoint. We are in the summer break for Formula One, so now I think is a great time to have a look at how the teams are doing. A little bit of retrospective on the first part of the season, and maybe some predictions on where the second half of the season is going, eh? Let's get stuck straight in. We'll start at the bottom of the constructors' standings with Williams. Now, what can we say about Williams? I had a lot of hope that Williams would move forward. Obviously, they had a decent season last season, again moving forward with their new investment. I was hoping to see the same again this season. It's not come off for them, has it? Alex Albon has produced some really good results, there's no doubt about that. And Latifi even had one great qualifying session getting into Q3. But the car just isn't there for them. And honestly, I don't think that's going to change over the course of this season. Very sad for Williams fans, eh? In 9th place, we have Aston Martin. And boy howdy, I think when I did my predictions at the start of the season, I had Aston Martin a lot higher than this. Man, it has not been a good season for them, has it? We have seen some decent results, like Vettel's pulled off some decent results. Stroll has also been scrapping away, trying to get the points that he can. But that car is just not great. At the first race in Bahrain, it looked horrible. It looked like one of the worst cars we've seen in a little while. So fair play to them for turning it around, bringing in the updates. Obviously, their wing, especially their rear wing right now, is very kind of innovative, and I think we're going to see a lot of copies of that rear wing. So it'll be very interesting to see how they use that going forward and see if that improves them massively. Clearly it's not so far, but maybe going forward they can kind of develop it a little bit more. Their main news does come away from the track though, with Sebastian Vettel retiring at the end of the season rather than taking a new contract with them. That has allowed Fernando Alonso to move to the team for next season. So that'll be a very interesting partnership. Poor Lance Stroll, he goes up against a 4-time world champion in Vettel this season, and now he's going up against Fernando Alonso next season. So he's going to get demolished again, isn't he? Poor guy. In 8th place, we have AlphaTauri, another team that I expected to be doing much better than they currently are. Let's face it, last season, they were pushing for like 4th in the Constructors. They were like best, pushing for that best of the rest title. And I really wanted to see them kick on this season. And they've definitely not done that. They have fallen away. At the start of the season, it felt like they were there or thereabouts, getting a few points here and there, clinging on to those kind of like lower reaches of the points places. And it feels like the development races caught them out a little bit. Teams around them have improved their cars and they've just not been able to. Even Pierre Gasly, who has been a mainstay at like the top end, the top 6, the top 7 positions for years and years now, he's not there anymore. And he can't pull that car into those positions. And it's very, very disappointing for AlphaTauri fans, it's got to say. The rest of this season will look bleak for them if they cannot turn the developments around. Perhaps they can pull some knowledge from Red Bull there. Obviously, their developments have been very good, and AlphaTauri's haven't. So perhaps they can pull some learning from them. We'll have to wait and see. In 7th place, we have Haas, and you've got to say, having had the season that Haas did last year, 7th place must feel great for them. They had a strong car at the start of the season, although they had that tricky situation where they had to get rid of Mazepin, they had to get rid of the primary sponsor. They have done a good job in recovering, at least some decent points. Mick Schumacher's now starting to get into the points as well, and we're starting to see that consistently come to him. That's really good to see. They've only pulled in one brand new development though over the course of the entire season, which tells you that their car was actually quite strong at the start because they've been maintaining get points throughout, and only one development and only on Magnussen's car has happened so far. So pretty strong showing from Haas. Hopefully they can continue to develop that car as the year goes on, and of course Mick Schumacher can also get those developments. That'd be nice for him too. And they can continue to improve that place, maybe solidify 7th. Who knows, they might be able to catch Alfa Romeo in 6th. But I'm guessing this is just the start of their recovery. They're going to look to push on in later years. Next year they'll take another step, and the year after hopefully they'll take another step, and then they're right back in that top of the midfield fight. In 6th place, we have Alfa Romeo, and I'm sure Alfa Romeo are going to be very, very happy with 6th place as well. They've been mired in that 10th, 9th, 8th battle for a couple of years now, but here they are, 6th place. They developed a nice car, beautiful looking car as well. I still love just looking at that car on race day. It's a beautiful car. And it goes pretty well. It's been a little while since we saw them at the top end of the midfield. At the start of the season, I think their car was a little stronger than those around them. And we were seeing Bottas. Like, genuinely, he could have had a podium at one stage. He obviously didn't get that. And they've not really been in a position for that in the latter half of this first part of the season. But their car's still decent. They can still score those points. Joe's been pretty good to watch as well. He had a lot of bad luck at the start of the season, you have to say, but he got back into it a little bit there at the tail end. So hopefully he can continue his development, and Alfa Romeo can continue to develop that car. Again, this is very much a first green shoots kind of recovery season for them. I'm sure they'll want to be kicking on a little bit more. There is a big gap between them and the next team, McLaren, in 5th place. So, we'll see if they can recover that. Probably not this season. That's probably a next season thing. But they've done a good job. They'll probably want to hang on to 6th place this season. And as I mentioned there, 5th place is McLaren. They'll be very disappointed with 5th place. They were fighting Ferrari last season, right? And look at where Ferrari are now. And look at where McLaren are. Oh, such a shame. The thought of what we could have had. At the start of the season, though, it looked even worse for McLaren. I mentioned how bad Aston were at the start of the season. McLaren were there as well. They were right at the back looking incredibly slow. And it was like, oh no, is this going to be the new McLaren Honda days all over again? Thankfully for them, it isn't. They have brought some good upgrades. Norris is now a bit more comfortable with the car. I don't think they're performing as well as they'd hoped they would be. The new upgrades in the last, I think, 2 races have been very, very good. So we'll wait and see if that continues on for the rest of the season. But again, their main problem comes off track right now. They've kept it fairly quiet, fairly private, but it's become a little bit evident now that they kind of want to move Daniel Ricciardo on, even though he's got a contract, and maybe they're going to pinch Oscar Piastri. That's a point of contention, and it's kind of spoiling the feel-good flavour McLaren really have built up over the last couple of years. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. That's definitely going to be an ongoing situation over the end part of the season here. But they definitely want that 4th place. That is the fight they're in, and at the moment they're losing it. And that 4th place team they're losing to is, of course, Alpine. Alpine have actually built a pretty solid car. I remember at the first part of this season, after the testing, I did my predictions, and I put Alpine way down, simply because I didn't like the look of the car. I still don't. I don't think the pink and the blue works really well. But it's hard to deny that they've built a very good car, a competitor that can race for that best of the rest. And in Fernando Alonso's hands especially, it's been incredible. I don't think he's quite got the results that he deserves out of that car. Ocon has been going steadily though, as they've been picking up these consistent points, which is exactly what you need in a championship as long as the one we've got. Just consistently chipping away, and that's what's put them in 4th place so far. I think that's where I'd end this entry if it wasn't for the last couple of weeks of drama. Again, Alpine are now suffering from this off-track drama that has affected a few teams. Of course, we mentioned earlier that Fernando Alonso will be racing for Aston Martin next season. That took Alpine by surprise. He didn't even tell Alpine until that day, apparently, that he was going to make that move. They thought he was locked in. So in a knee-jerk reaction, of course, they said, hey, we'll promote our reserve driver, Oscar Piastri, and then it'll be Ocon and Piastri for our race seats next year. No problem. Except there was a massive problem, because Piastri came out publicly and said, I'm not doing that. So now there is a lot of drama surrounding that. There is legal implications also surrounding that, because now Alpine are going to see if they can legally tie Piastri down into his contract, which I'm not sure you want to do. You don't want a driver that doesn't want to be there, right? But if they can't, then they don't have another driver alongside Ocon. What do they do? So that's kind of the second half of the season for Alpine. It could get quite messy. It seems like it's going to get a little messy. Will it affect their on-track behaviors and their on-track action? We'll have to wait and see. But right now, they're in control of 4th place, and that's where they'll want to stay. In 3rd place, we have Mercedes, and Mercedes obviously won't want to be in 3rd place. They are the 8 in a row Constructors Champions. They don't like 3rd place, but considering the car they've had and the car they've got, I think 3rd place is actually very, very good for them right now. Considering they're only 30 points down on Ferrari, they could have 2nd place. That's probably their goal. Their goal is probably to take 2nd place from Ferrari, if I'm willing to bet. Their car at the start of the season was bad. Like, you know, it wasn't bad in like Williams bad, but it was bad for Mercedes, and they have iterated and developed and worked really hard on that car. You can clearly see it, and they've moved from scoring consistent 4th and 5th places, because of course a championship is long. Scoring those consistent points, just like I mentioned with Alpine, is important. At the start of the season, it was we'll get 4th, we'll get 5th, you know, and we'll scrape along like that. They've moved up now, and they're getting 2nds and 3rds. So they have developed the car. They are getting onto the podium now. They're still missing that race win. I think that's coming in the second half of the season for them. I certainly hope it is. And they're definitely going to want that 2nd place. They're going to be chasing that down, aren't they? I'm really happy with actually how George Russell settled into that car as well. Because, of course, George Russell only raced in a Williams in F1, and he was doing very well. You know, that was very clear. But Mercedes is a step up. You never know how these guys are going to react to stepping up like that. And he's done it very, very well. It has to be said. He's on par with Lewis Hamilton. And those two seem to be a good partnership right now. In 2nd place in the championship, we have Ferrari. And they are the hardest ones to judge, I think. It was clear from pre-season that they had a fast car. Very, very fast car. And coming from last season, brilliant. They probably would have taken 2nd place, honestly, because they were, you know, fighting for best of the rest last season, and now they're fighting for the World Championship. So fair enough, you know, like they probably would have taken 2nd place, but they have such a fast car that you could argue that maybe the championship shouldn't be as, you know, done as it currently is, honestly. A lot of issues, some consistency, some reliability, some tactically, has all just made Ferrari into slightly disappointing, right? We want these fights at the front of the field. We want these battles. We want to see Red Bull and Ferrari slug it out for the win. But at the moment, Ferrari have just given Red Bull far too many points. And now they might fall back into the clutches of Mercedes, because Mercedes are just reeling them in at this stage. It's such a disappointment. And until Ferrari get on top of their strategic errors and their reliability errors, I don't think they'll be able to mount a challenge this season. I think the championship's done this season. They have to get on top of that during the second half of this season, though, so they can make a consistent fight next season. Then, of course, we have our first place team, Red Bull Racing. And boy, what can you say about Red Bull? At the start of the season, it looked a little dire with their reliability issues, but they quickly got on top of that as a championship-winning team would, and now they are cruising to the win. It looks like they're going to be world champions. It looks like Max Verstappen is going to be a 2-time world champion, and fair play to them. I mean, Ferrari have brought a little bit of competition, but like I said, they're not really at the races, so Red Bull have maintained a strong position, even got better. They've brought developments that have made their car better over the course of the year. They signed Sergio Perez to a new deal as well. He had a really good run of form for a little bit there, and I thought we might be seeing a inter-team rivalry between Verstappen and Perez for the championship. That seems to have died off now, so it just seems like they are just in control, just have to maintain, keep that reliability up over the rest of the season, I think their championship is theirs. That's my mid-season review of how the F1 grid has shaped up. What do you guys think? Do you think anybody is going to really turn the tables here? Do you think that championship fight is done? Do you think Mercedes are going to get second place? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section or over on social media at Race Report Pod. I'm going to keep a few of these videos coming over the summer break just to keep us all entertained, and then we're going to get back to racing. So I will catch you in the next one.